What's up, Cindy? I'm going to bring you a video. You asked me a question about proposal templates, and I'm going to help you out. Here we go. So, whether you are using a software, a PDF document, sending it through an email, whatever you're doing, there are principles that we want to follow that will help you to facilitate a sale. The idea of the proposal is to get the sale. It's to help that customer feel confident enough in going with your customer, with your company over the others, so that there's just no question that you're the one that they choose. And if all we do is just deliver the price, and we don't do any other things to help them grasp the value of what they're getting for the price, then they are going to compare your bid with others purely based on price. So we have to make sure that we are inserting value into this process. So what are the elements of a good proposal? Well, let's start beforehand with how we plan on delivering it. Okay, there are a few different ways that you could do it. Certain ways are going to work for you, other ways might work better. What I like to do is I like to go, of course, to the house and get an idea of the scope of work, have a face-to-face conversation, build a relationship. I take a lot of video of everything that's going to be that we need to paint, and I try to understand what their biggest concerns are. What are the things that they want? What problems are they trying to solve? Timing, their sense of urgency. How quickly do they need this done? Is there flexibility? I also am asking, quality of prep. Do they want a high level of prep? Do they want low level of prep? Well, I don't phrase it exactly like that, but I say, look, we can go as far as we need to go into this, into the preparation of the surface. We can make it look perfect if you want us to. But just understand that the more time that we spend on this, the higher the price, because we just have to put more time into it, right? And we pay our folks a certain wage. You may not want it to be that expensive, right? So on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 5 being the highest level of perfection, lowest being we're not picky, just paint what's there. Where do you stand? And it also helps to kind of show them, okay, this area of wall right here, if we were to finish it like this, it would look like this. That's a level 3. Right over here, if we were to just leave it like this, that's a level 2. That's how I do it, right? Because what that does is it builds up the sense of value that you're providing. And in this sense, with the prep specifically, the value is directly tied to your cost of production. And so it's completely understandable why you would be pulling those levers. Then there's also the products that we're going to be using. And instead of just offering one product, offer them a range of products, right? They're each company that you use to purchase paint from, each of your vendors has a range of product lines from high to low. And so by offering those different options, you give the customer control over their price. If they want to upgrade and they want the high quality furnishings, then you can sell them that and they'll justify the price for themselves because they're getting more value. And some people want that and some people don't, right? Give them the options. So those are the elements that we really need to understand is the level of surface preparation, the quality of products, and then of course the scope itself, right? The scope of work. And so when we're putting together the scope of work, especially for an instance of residential repaint, okay, this is different than other segments. Other segments, you have other methodologies, but we're going to talk specifically about residential repaint in this video. We want to break it. We want to create essentially a shopping cart for them, right? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to say, okay, the whole job is $10,000 and that's all there is to it. You either have the $10,000 to do it today or you don't. We want to give them options in the proposal. And so the way that we're going to break the proposal down is we're going to break it down into area, scope, product, and then we're going to have some type of quantity to measure what's within the scope, and then we'll end up with a price. Okay, so with the area, this is the living room, a bedroom, that kind of thing. And then the scope is going to be walls, ceiling, right? Trim, doors, etc. The product, we might have that discussion a little bit later, towards the end, but the product is just going to range from whatever products that you're using, whatever the line is, right? And so let's say let's say you give them an option for, duration. Well, so with quantity and price, you have both the quantity of the gallons that you're doing and the price of the gallons, but then you also have the quantity of the walls. And depending on how you do your estimating, we'll kind of not go into the estimating in this, but basically what you're going to do, you're either going to measure the surface, you're going to measure the surface in some way, and you're going to, get a value, whether that's square footage or you do the linear footage, or how we do a point system. And so you're going to figure out what that measurement is, and you're going to take that quantity and you're going to multiply it by your bill rate. And so, let's say, for example, for the sake of easiness, let's just talk like doors, right? So let's say that you have, a bunch of doors in the room, and there's 5 doors, and you're going to charge, I don't know, let's say we're going to charge, $80 a door, right? So we're going to take the 5 doors, multiply that by 80, and that's going to get you $400, right? Because 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 times 10 is 400. Okay, so that gives you your price, but we want to break it down in that way. Why? Because we want to be able to give that customer options. And so essentially we want to be able to have a subtotal price on each of these, so that we can say, okay, Mr. Customer, the total price here is $5,000 after everything. Does that fit into your the budget that you had planned? And if they say no, then we say, okay, well, which of these is the highest priority? Because we want to get it under that $5,000. I understand that. I work on a budget. We all work on budgets. And so which rooms here are the most important, right? And we want to try to get the selection of rooms within the scope of their budget. Okay, that's the first thing. So once you have the estimate together and the proposal and the ideal amount of money, now we want to package the estimate inside of a proposal. And I distinguish between estimate and proposal. The estimate is really more of a operations tool than a sales tool. The estimate has to be able to accurately calculate how much to charge and how much time it's going to take your crew to do this job. And so it's really kind of an operations tool. It's not a great sales tool. If we just have an estimate and a list of numbers and a list of rooms, it's not the best sales tool. But what is a good sales tool is the proposal. And the proposal is a little bit more. So let's kind of talk about what's in the proposal. And again, if we're doing different, using different softwares, there are different features and benefits that softwares have. One of the ones that a couple of different softwares that I like, they have a portal feature where you send a link and it opens up kind of an online document, and you can actually design it and put interesting things in there. And it's best if you're able to kind of order and organize where the different sections go, but some of them don't, exactly allow you to. So the things that you're going to have in there is, I like to have a cover letter that is, that's the hook, right? So we start with the hook, and the hook is it's the thing that is going to capture that customer's attention. Like, why are they going to go with us immediately? Why do they, what is their dream, right? That's kind of what the hook is. Like, if we can capture their attention and imagination in this, what is their dream? It could be something like, think that there's that commercial of I think it's like Men's Warehouse or something like that. It's like the suit commercial, and you got the guy who's like, "You're gonna love the way you look, I guarantee it." Right? That's a hook, right? So some kind of a phrase. Now, we often use the phrase. We pull it from our mission, which is that painting makes a difference, right? And so we might say something like, um, you know, we might just say that, right? Painting makes a big difference. Another one that we use, we have a short, we have kind of a short review that somebody gave us one time, which and so we'll use that sometimes as the hook, and we'll put it in quotes. And what this customer said is, "I love my home. You helped me love my home." Right? That one's really powerful. I love my home. You helped me love my home. The hook needs to be a little bit aspirational, right? Because people have a dream for themselves, and they want something out of this paint job. And so capturing that in its essence in one simple phrase with a nice picture of either the process or a final after picture of a really beautiful home, that's going to capture their imagination, and that's what we want to do to hook them in. So then what comes after the hook is the problem. And again, this is short, but it's got to be punchy. It's got to be real. It's got to be visceral, and they have to know that there is something at stake here. If we don't put in stakes for what will happen if they don't choose us, then there's nothing on the line, right? We want to essentially let them know that you're putting yourself at risk if you don't choose us. Okay? And in a sense, they are, because I can't control what they get out of somebody else, right? So, they might as well go with us, because at least we can control the experience and make sure that it's good for them. So one of the big problems, of course, with finding contractors is reliability. Finding somebody who's reliable, finding somebody who is going to do what they say they do. Finding somebody who's going to protect their floors and do the job on time and that kind of thing. Well, you can kind of find one that works for a lot of people, or on a proposal per proposal basis, you can customize it according to what they need, right? Let's say that you go to a house, and one of the problems that they're facing is that they need to get this job done before May graduation, because they're planning for a graduation party for their high schooler, and they got to get this job done. Otherwise, they're going to be in real big trouble. And so, what you might say is, as a problem, is you might say, finding a painter who can make the deadline is impossible this time of year. But we'll use my name, Craftsman Painter, we have the availability. Okay? We have the availability. There's the problem, right? Okay. So next, we want to put in place a plan, right? And the plan is kind of a 1, 2, 3 step thing, right? It's a like, here's what to expect. Because when people don't move forward with a sale, it's usually because there's some type of lack of clarity involving what they are going to expect. Like, if they don't know what to expect, they're not going to step forward. It's kind of like walking in the dark, right? It's like, if it's dark and you can't see in front of you, you're gonna proceed cautiously, or you might not move forward at all. And so when people don't move forward in sales, that's usually what it is. There's just some obscurity. It's a little bit dark. It's like there's a fog and a mist, and they're just not quite sure, right? And so you have to provide that plan, right? So the plan at this point is to what we want to do, instead of accept or reject what we have, we want them to engage in a dialogue with us. We want them to really just kind of customize the scope of work to what works for them, right? And so I might even say that, step one from here, customize scope to fit budget. And that tells them that this is the beginning of the process, not the very end, right? This is the beginning of the process to start tailoring this project to your needs. If we need to take some stuff out, we can take some stuff out. If there's room in the budget, we want to add stuff to it that we didn't think that we're going to be able to do this time around, now is the time to add to the budget, right? Do we want higher end products? Do we want lower end products? That's what we're doing here, right? And so that's the first step. Customize the scope to fit the budget. 2, now we want to talk a little bit about what comes after the budget, because we're going to assume that they're going to go with us. We're going to assume that they're going to accept it, right? And so what we'll say is, maybe whatever that next step is, right? So maybe the next step is make your down payment, or talk scheduling, or talk color, or something like that. But maybe we'll go with the scheduling, right? Let's go with down payment on this one, right? So if we're in the software, then we're going to say, maybe approve the budget and make the down payment. That's step 2. And then step 3, we want it to end in success, right? We want them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so step 3, schedule crew and get job done, right? Beautiful. So now we have a wonderful plan, and now there's no question about what's coming next. We're going to customize the scope of the work to fit the budget. We're going to approve that budget, put the down payment, then we'll schedule, and we'll have a beautiful house at the end, right? So that's just a 1, 2, 3 plan, but now they have to actually follow the plan, right? So now we're going to go into customizing the scope. Well, what we really want to do is we want to make sure that we're communicating that we're not talking about price here. We're talking about an investment. So instead of saying words like this is the price or this is the cost, let's say this is the investment to paint your house, right? We want them to think of it as an investment. I'll tell you a quick story. Back, this was a couple years ago, we did a bid for a cabinet job, and the guy didn't go with us. And I was bummed, but you know what? I moved on. A few years later, I ran into him, and he said, you know what? A few years ago, we had you over to give us an estimate for cabinets, and I have to tell you, we went with somebody else because we were going to save, $900 or something like that. And he said, I have regretted that. I've regretted that decision every single day when I go down to make my breakfast, because the paint job didn't last and we are just not happy with it at all. I've regretted that decision every day. I was looking for a deal, and I should have been treating it like an investment. Okay, so that's the power of this, right? We want them to be in the mindset of investing in their home, not just finding the best deal. And so if we call the estimate, if we refer to the actual estimate where they see the price, if we refer to it more as an investment, that orients them to more accurately consider what we're proposing here. So it's the investment, and in here you just go back to that investment or that estimate, and you put the estimate in. And as long as you've organized it line item by line item, so that it's treated a little bit more like a shopping cart rather than rather than just like one single line item, then you have that opportunity to customize the scope to fit the budget. And you make it really easy. Okay, we'll just take that off. We'll take off the We'll take off the bedroom. We'll take off the trim. We'll take this off. We'll put that on. That allows you to customize it so that they have more control. Another anecdote here. McDonald's, when they put in the kiosk in the waiting room where you can pick your own menu items, as it turns out, when somebody goes to that kiosk, they spend 33% more on their meal than when they go to the counter. Why? Because they're in control of the sales process. If you go up to the counter and you have to talk to somebody and you have to tell them what you want, and all of a sudden you like are saying, oh, I want all this stuff, and then now you're thinking like, this person's probably judging me because I really want like 2 large fries, but I should really just have a medium. Then you become more reserved. But if they have the ability to customize it, be in control, build it up to what they know their budget is without revealing their cards, because that's what they don't want to. And when you're in a sales arrangement, the other person doesn't want to reveal their cards. When you give them the control over the options, they get to hold their cards close to their chest, but they also build it up to the point where they feel comfortable. And you want them to make that bargaining choice with themselves rather than you, right? We don't want to be pushy. We don't want to force people to do anything. And the funny thing about it is that people just naturally tend to spend more money when they do it themselves. So we go over that investment, and then we, of course, have to call them to action. So the call to action is that signature, or it is that button that says, accept, right? We want to make sure that the platform that we have has that, or we want to make sure that if we're using like a paper-based form or a PDF, that is very clear. Here's where you sign on the bottom line. This is how we get started. And what I like to do when I'm delivering this proposal, I actually like to do the walkthrough and the builder rapport and get options first, take it home, put it together, and then schedule a Google Meet with everybody who has a decision to make. I like to schedule that meeting a couple days later or at their convenience so that I've had time to look over it. They have time to, do whatever, but we're going to meet virtually via Google Meeting so that I can show them and walk them through the proposal. What I don't want to do is just send the proposal off in email and not have the chance to answer questions or walk them through the process of tailoring and customizing the bid. I'd much rather do that with them so that I can answer questions and help them feel comfortable if there's any bit of this that's like, I don't know what to do there. So, at this point, I'm going over the proposal with them in video, and with the call to action, I can ask for the sale. And I want to get a clear yes or a clear no. And if they need to think about it, that's okay. I just need to know when it's appropriate to follow up. I don't want to get into a follow-up sequence that they're going to resent, or be annoyed by. So I want to know, okay, I understand you got to talk about it. Do you want to reschedule a time to talk about this, or when can I follow up? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll even while I'm on camera, I'll say, you know what, something that we can do is we can go off camera for a second, and if you guys need a second to talk, that's fine. I'm gonna go grab a drink of water real quick, and then we can discuss what you guys want to do. Some people will actually do that. And so we just want to make sure that we're getting a clear yes or a clear no here, and that's why we want to call them to action. And you can be pretty natural about this, or you can be direct about this. You can say something like, does this fit in budget, and is it something that you'd like to do? Sometimes I'll just ask it like that. Is this something that you'd like to do? And if I can get that yes, then I can say, okay, well, this is the next step, and we want to go over the terms, right? So that's the last part of the bid proposal. You don't have to like I would not read the terms verbatim, but you need to show them where the terms are, and you need to say, okay, so here are the terms. There's just a couple details about what the expectations are on our end, like what you're getting from us, what we're promising to do, but also some of the things that we'll ask of you. So read those terms, click accept, and then I'll send you a link for the down payment. We assume the sale that they're going to do it. And so if you follow this step, if you have these elements in your proposal, it's going to look really polished. It's going to look really great. We want to make sure that it actually is designed well. And some of these tools do a really good job of that. Overall, my opinion on sales is that I'm a big advocate of consultative sales. I'm a big advocate of not being too pushy, but I am direct and clear and confident and selective. I don't need this sale. I want to do this work for you, but I don't need to do this work for you. And when you have that selective mindset that we're going to survive if we don't get this job, then you're actually more likely to get it. I hope that helps, and good luck with your proposal.